Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in all over the world. This is Prequel, Origin Stories and Inflection Points, a Goodie Nation podcast, and I am Casey Willis, a 2023 Goodie Nation Tech Storytelling Fellow. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Goodie Nation, we are an organization that sets out to bridge the relationship gap for so many promising founders in the social entrepreneurship sphere, founders from diverse backgrounds, folks who are building incredible companies. They have incredible missions. They're serving people all over the world. And at Goodie Nation, we are a community of mentors, coaches, VCs, people with experience and expertise in the field who are just bringing together some of the dopest people, dopest founders to help them build and grow their companies. And so today's episode is a very special episode. We have a solo podcast episode introducing you to yet another one of our amazing Google for Startup founders. Love them. Shout out to Google. And so to jump right into it, I am going to introduce you to DJ, who is going to share with you his origin story. So DJ, why don't you let us know how you started your founder journey?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you, Casey, for your time here and Goodie Nation for the opportunity. I'm here in sunny Cleveland, Ohio. We got a beautiful day here. I always like to give a shout out to Ohio and Cleveland. Like Casey said, and I'm DJ Eidson, president and co-founder of Limitless Minds. Basically, you could just call us the Peloton for mental fitness. And when I think about my origin story, it really goes back to when I was in first grade. This was in the 80s sometime. Not, I don't want to give my age away, but it was a pretty you look, and I have a kindergartner now, and I think about him at that kindergarten first grade time frame, and it's an exciting time. You go into your first day of school, and in your class, and you're excited to learn. But for me, the excitement quickly dissipated and went away because of the way I was being treated in school, outcasted, not only by the students that were there, but also by the administration or my teacher, to the point to where I think the last kind of straw was when I went to go get a drink at the drinking fountain, and one of the white students told me that you can't use that drinking fountain. And you could just see how dejected I was at that time. I went home, told my mom, about the situation, and her and my dad decided. They said, you know what, we're going to take you out of this school where there was some racial tensions, and where you were being mistreated by the teacher and the students, and we're going to put you into a school 30 minutes away where there's a little bit more diversity, and we think you got a better shot. So the next year, my second grade year, I go into that classroom, and I was really, still kind of discouraged from my experience with school, from, the previous year. I couldn't read going into second grade, wasn't able to read. And I remember, vividly that my second grade teacher, Mr. McGinnis, one of the classes we had, the first day was reading class. And he asked everybody to get their book out. And I didn't have my book out. Everybody else had their book out. He looks at me, he goes, DJ, why don't you have your book out? And I looked at him and I said, because I don't know how to read. And, with a really disappointed and sharp tone. And he looked at me and smiled. He goes, you know what, DJ, that's okay, because I'm going to teach you how to read. And it was at that moment, it started to build my confidence in terms of, like, it didn't happen overnight, but the way Mr. McGinnis poured into me, and the way he made me believe in myself was something that stuck with me. I went on to graduate high school, played, college basketball, graduated college, did some internships, and found myself as a 21-year-old, basically kid, in this pharmaceutical industry. Believing in what I could do, finding really great mentors, and I moved my way up in the industry. I did things from, summer intern. I was in sales. I did sales training and poured and developed into other people. And I learned very quickly that it was not your skill set that you had to lean into to be great in business, but it was really your mindset. And I became fascinated with that. You fast forward to a startup job that I had at a startup, excuse me, pharmaceutical company, and I walk into the training class again, not knowing what to expect, and I look across the room, and I see one of the only brown faces in the room, Harry Wilson, and at that point, Harry and I were kind of joined at the hip. We kept talking about like how we wanted to build these teams at this pharmaceutical company and how mindset was so important, and reading the right books and listening to the right podcasts and finding the right mentors, and we spent 5 years there building those teams, and watched that company really grow, our teams grow, ourselves as individuals grow, and we just became fascinated with it. Not the art of selling pharmaceutical. That wasn't really what fascinated. It was the people and the people development that really got us excited. So we started bouncing around ideas, saying, "Okay, what can we do next?" And Harry Wilson so happens to also be the older brother of Super Bowl winning quarterback Russell Wilson, who now plays for the Denver Broncos. And one of the things that, as we were talking about mindset, he goes, DJ, my brother works on his mindset to get a competitive advantage in his sport. Being an NFL quarterback at 5'10", 5'11", like Russell is, and having to really be able to get through the different pressures and the challenges. Well, he uses a coach, and that coach was Trevor Moat. And Trevor and him, started working together right when Russell got in the league, right actually before Russell got in the league, and they were working on concepts like neutral thinking and illusion of choice and all these fundamentals of thinking that were helping Russell get to that next level. And so we all huddled up after separate conversations, but then we said, why don't we all four get together? I remember the conference call vividly, sitting on my couch, and Russell says, you know what, why don't we take what you guys have done in business and what we've done in sports and go out and impact the world. And it was at that point we had the idea. We said, why don't we take some of this curriculum that Trevor and Russell are doing in sports and try it at the company we were at that Horizon Therapeutics, and we ran it through and trained a group of, I think it was 285 sales reps at the time, and we saw their performance increase 3x for the people that participated in our training over that first year. We saw turnover decrease from 29% to 19%, which was a 34% decrease in turnover. And we were like, man, we have something. And I think our employer at the time, Horizon, also knew we had something. And it was kind of that come to Jesus moment where they say, well, it sounds like you guys are really excited about what you're building. And they said, I'm wondering if you're wanting to take this to other companies. And we were honest with them. We said we would like to do that. And before we could finish, they said, okay, that's fine as long as we're your first customer. And so that really gave us the the strength, the courage to really jump out there and bring this Peloton for mental fitness, like we're calling it, with Limitless Minds in our training program to the world. And since then, we're working with 9 out of the top 12 pharmaceutical companies in the world, companies like Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. I mean, we've worked with Amazon. We've got a chance to work with Workday and Microsoft. So, we have started, over this journey and over the past 5 years to make that kind of impact, starting in 2018 officially, and then bringing this to the world is really been a tremendous opportunity. So with that, Casey, that's our origin story. Again, it started way back in the 80s, right, as a first grader. But now I get to sit in and talk to and communicate with some of the best leaders and corporations in the world. And I feel really blessed to be able to do it.
That's so amazing. We've talked to founders in the past who have talked about how sports have impacted their entrepreneurship and founder journey. So whether it's, healthy competitive, healthy competition or conditioning. But I think this may be the first time that specifically you're not talking about like, the sport itself or the physicality or it's the mindset that is kind of like the driving force behind how sports have kind of impacted your founder journey.
Yes.
And so this is a weird year. This is like for a lot of founders, a lot of startups, it's been like a really strange year. And so, without giving all the sauce, because we want people to go and use Limitless Minds and find out more about you, do you have any advice for founders, startup leaders, folks who are just trying to keep a level-headed mindset in these kind of bizarro times?
Yeah. Well, first off, there's two things. The first thing is I would say, just like that kid in second grade, um, you know, I had to get out of the gates, to get out of the blocks, if we're gonna use a track, analogy. I had to believe, and sometimes it's putting people around you or finding a mentor, somebody that can believe in believe in you sometimes even before you believe in yourself. So belief, it always starts with a foundation of belief. And then once you get into it and you start, and I'll give you an example, share a story that happened with me 2 weeks ago. um because you mentioned these founders, and every day there's something that comes up that is information or a client situation or whatever it is that it just doesn't go well. I mean, it just happens, right? And there's a lot of things that do go well, but there was one of those days where I was hit with about three or four different things. It was a client, it was a partner, it was an internal employee, and I really felt like defeated, you know and I remember that feeling. And especially it was with the partnership that we were working on, and I felt like, man, there's no answer to this. There really isn't. And so what I did was I actually took my laptop and I just shut it. And then I shut and closed my eyes, and I just allowed myself to just feel that feeling of disappointment, maybe anger, whatever that feeling was at that time. I felt it. And then I opened my eyes, and I told myself, when I sit, this was a Thursday when this happened. When I sit in this chair tomorrow on Friday, if this is a 10 out of 10 right now in feeling, um, it'll be a 8 out of 10 tomorrow. And when I get through the weekend on Monday, when I sit in the same chair, it'll be a 5 or a 4. And by Tuesday, I'll probably have a solution, and it might be at a 1 or 2. And sure enough, that's what happened. But it started with actually recognizing and accepting the feeling and the situation for what it was. And that's what we call neutral thinking. Neutral allowed me to take the emotion and the narrative out of the situation. Why would that person do this to me? Why would they turn their back? Whatever it was. I took all that away, and I got behind the facts and the truth. What was the real situation that was happening? And then what actions and behaviors did I need to get behind so Tuesday I could have a solution? And so that's what I would tell you. Believe, and then also just don't run away. Accept it for what it is, and then figure out how to get through it. And that's what our training helps organizations and individuals do.
All right, folks, you heard it here. Believe, don't run away from the problems. Lean
That's right.
into what you are feeling. And again, that's a little taste for y'all. But if you are like, oh yes, we need this, we need some more of this
That's right.
mindset coaching in our organization, how can people find out more about you?
Yeah, the easiest way is just to follow us on LinkedIn, Limitless Minds, or go to the website limitlessminds.com, where you can contact us and get more information. We have a lot of people. I was just reading our info box this morning. Presidents of companies, leaders of companies that say, "Hey, we want to take our teams through your training." And typically, what we'll do is we'll partner with a company, for a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long. Really, I mean, listen, we only been at this for 5 years now, and we've had companies that are still partnering with us since day one. So it's a great opportunity to get better. We say you don't have to be sick to get better. We believe that. And following us at Limitless Minds, limitlessminds.com. You can follow my social too, DJ Eidson, on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really where we spend most of our time.
Very nice. You don't have to be sick. What was it? Say that one more time.
You don't have to be sick to get better.
You don't have to be sick to get better.
That's right.
Lovely.
That's
Lovely
right.
way to just wrap things up. So thank you so much, DJ, for sharing your origin story with us. And folks, I mean, you just heard it. You don't have to be sick to get better. And you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to help these founders. If you heard something that resonated with you, it could take a minute or 2 minutes to send an email to someone and say, hey, I heard about this company. We should check this out. Or, we have a panel on health startups and mental health startups. Like this guy would be a great addition to this panel. It takes no time at all to make a connection. And so you just got all the contact information. If you have a way for Limitless Minds to be plugged into something that you're about, go ahead and make that connection. That is what Goodie Nation is all about. And so I want to thank DJ again for being such an amazing guest.
Casey, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm serious for the opportunity. What you guys are doing to amplify voices that sometimes don't get heard, it does remind me of Mr. McGinnis. You believe in folks that, and I wouldn't even say, there's a lot of titles that that we get as minority and diverse founders. The title and what I would say is we're underestimated. This is the underestimated population. This is the underestimated group of leaders that, and you guys have pumped a certain amount of resources and belief in us as founders, and we really appreciate that. So from Harry Wilson, Russell Wilson, DJ Eidson, all the folks at Limitless Minds, we really appreciate you and thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And we really appreciate you. It's a very symbiotic. We could
That's right.
do if y'all weren't doing what you were doing, and we're just bridging all those gaps. So lovely. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. And like our founder, Joey Womack, always says, stay magnetic and outwork yesterday. Take it easy.
We'll see you. Thank you.